Once I'd completed building my car and before the first race of the season in 2023, I decided to have my car, put it on the dyno and see what sort of power figures it was producing. You may have seen this video. I'll drop a link into to it here. It produced 128 brake horsepower, which I was really pleased with, and the torque curve was very flat once the Vanos units had kicked in. Over the winter, I've had the engine apart. I've not really done anything that's likely to improve the performance, quite honestly, but I was keen to find out what the power figures look like now. And also, this dyno that you see here is not a MAHA dyno, MAHA dyno, which is the one that's used for the 750 Motor Club. So I thought I'd get the car tested on a MAHA dyno. Just to explain what we have here, the orange line is the torque curve, and you can see that from 3,200 or so, 3,400 I think it is, it's pretty flat, which is rather nice. It's a characteristic of this engine, it just seems to be like that. And then the red line is the calculated engine power, and I'll talk a bit about that in a second. The blue line is power at the wheels, and the green line is the adjustment they make for transmission loss, drag, or rolling friction and all those things, so that they can calculate the engine power based on measuring the power at the wheel. So let's have a look at the numbers in a bit more detail. Let's start with the torque figure, which is the orange number there in the middle. 108.9 pound-feet, which is 147.65 newton meters, and that is about 3.5 newton meters down on the previous dyno session, which, okay, it's not a massive amount, but obviously I'd prefer not to lose any torque. Then we look at the wheel power, 90.4. As I said earlier, that you can see the drag power figure in green. If you add those two numbers together, actually you'll see it gives the what's listed here as the engine power, because as I said, it's trying to account for transmission loss. It does some sort of sophisticated calculation. I think it might use the characteristic or the profile of the rundown when they take the foot off the accelerator and the dyno's running down. I have a feeling that's got something to do with it, but I don't know how they do that calculation. It's a fairly linear, if you look at it on the graph, it's a linear relationship with speed. So yeah, interesting. And then we've got the engine power figure, but then we've got this corrected engine power. Now the difference between the two, again, it's a calculation done based on, as it's noted there, a standard DIN 720, and it's a compensation for the air pressure. So if you look on the right hand side, it says 1016.4. That's I don't know if this, do you call that millimeters of mercury? Is that how it, I don't know why it says HPA, I can't remember, so that's pascals, isn't it? Anyway, it was 1016.4. Interestingly, on the day I had the dyno run done last year, the number was 982, so vastly different. A low pressure system was obviously passing through at the time, and at the moment we seem to have a fairly high pressure system taking charge over the UK. Because air pressure affects engine power, they do this correction factor, and I think if it had have been 1000, a flat 1000 HPA, then the P-eng and the P-norm figures on the left would have been the same. I believe that's true. I think that's how they do it. It's 1 atmosphere, is the sort of baseline. Before we started the tests today, the dyno operator said that the MAHA dyno tends to be a bit tougher, on numbers. It's not. It doesn't hand out BHP to you for nothing, and that seems to be borne out by these figures. So you can see in the side-by-side comparison that we've lost a bit, but it could have been due to differences in the dyno. It could be just that the engine's done a season and I haven't done anything to it. So there's no sign of any damage to the cylinder bores or anything. The valves are shutting tight. I checked them for leak down. They were fine. Could be that I've slightly tweaked the cam timing. Maybe I've advanced it a bit, but you would have thought that the torque figure would have moved downwards rather than upwards. So yeah, I'm not too concerned, quite honestly. We're really playing at the margins here, and my driving ability is a bigger factor than the power from the engine. But it does look as though the engine's in good health. And I didn't say that I did compression test the engine before I took it on to the dyno, and it was showing 195 psi on each of the 4 cylinders. There was a slight variation of 1 or 2 psi, but basically 195 across each of them. Okay, hope you found that interesting. It's been an interesting day for me, so we'll see how we get on racing this year.